What happens when I'm no longer around? This is probably the hardest truth for all of us, knowing that we won't always be here to take care of our children. By teaching independence now, we prepare them for that future. G'day, I'm Debra Caldow. Welcome to the Red Giraffe Solutions Expanding Worlds podcast, where we aim to support you as you help your young person with additional needs plan for their future, a future where they're safe, secure, and live a rewarding and fulfilling life. From around the world, I share stories and I share solutions from people making this possible right now. I'm a parent of a young person with additional needs, so I understand the challenges. Many of the people I've interviewed on this podcast have already helped me design a better future for my daughter, and I hope that they might help you as well to imagine what's possible for your young person. When it comes to our children, regardless of their needs, we want to make their lives as easy as possible. When they're young, we cook for them, we tidy for them, we speak for them, and we try to anticipate every possible difficulty that they'll face. And of course, when it comes to a child who has additional needs, who finds the world always challenging and sometimes unkind, that urge is amplified, and naturally we want to be there to protect them. This instinct is rooted in care and compassion. We want to keep them safe, reduce their frustration, and make their world as kind as possible. And while this is only right when they're young, as they get older, doing everything for our children can have unintentional consequences. Learning when to step back and how to do it without withdrawing support when it's needed is one of the hardest things to do. Our goal is to prepare all our children for the future without us. But for our children, independence may look very different than it will for their peers. But it still remains just as vital, and actually perhaps even more vital. When we do too much for our children, they miss valuable opportunities to practice and master essential skills. Simple activities such as choosing clothes, pouring a drink, or preparing a meal are more than daily routines. They're the training ground for independence. And of course, over time, the accumulation of these small habits builds the foundation for bigger things, like holding down a job. And it's also useful to remember that supporting independence doesn't always mean total autonomy. It's about giving our children the chance to do as much as they can with the right level of support. But every time our children successfully complete a task, no matter how small, it boosts their confidence. These little wins add up and reshape how they view themselves, not as dependent or helpless, but as capable individuals with strengths. And constantly doing everything for our children can also lead them to feeling frustrated. Even with good intentions, we can end up sending a message that I don't think you can handle this. Over time, this can chip away at their sense of self-worth and their confidence in their own abilities. Struggle is part of life, and it's also part of learning. When we encounter challenges, we learn how to problem solve, adapt, and persevere. By us jumping in too quickly to fix everything, we can rob them of the chance to develop their resilience. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting I've got this one right every time, because I'm as guilty as anyone of stepping in when I should have stepped back. But I've always been aware that it's better for my daughter to make mistakes while I'm around, because I'm able to help her pick up the pieces. Without making mistakes, she'll never develop her resilience muscle, that capacity to adapt, recover, and grow from adversity. Resilience is one of those skills that's important for our children to develop, because they'll face more obstacles than many of their peers will. Giving them the space to try, fail, and try again builds that skill, a skill that will serve them well in adult life. I remember when my daughter was about 14 years old, an occupational therapist talked to me about learned helplessness. This idea that when someone becomes so accustomed to others doing things for them, that they stop trying, even when they're perfectly capable of doing things for themselves. It was this OT's less than subtle way of reminding me to let my daughter do more for herself. I think I took it well, to be honest, partly because I knew she was right, but also because I knew that this was really about that big question, the one we all have. What happens when I'm no longer around? This is probably the hardest truth for all of us, knowing that we won't always be here to take care of our children. Whether gradually through adulthood or suddenly through life's unexpected turns, one day our children will need to rely on themselves or on others beyond us. By teaching independence now, we prepare them for that future, An adult who has learned to make simple meals, communicate their needs and navigate basic social interactions will be far more prepared for a fulfilling and dignified life than one who has always had everything done for them. Allowing our children to take responsibility, to make choices and participate in everyday life shows respect for their abilities and acknowledges them as an individual. It says, "I believe in you. I know what you can do." This respect is essential for their self-identity. When our children feel valued and capable, they're more likely to be able to advocate for themselves and to pursue their own dreams. Of course, stepping back doesn't mean withdrawing support completely. This is where scaffolding comes in, teaching them in a way where tasks are broken down into smaller, manageable steps, and then we can reduce support as their ability and confidence grows. I hope I've got better at this over the years with my daughter, especially when it comes to everyday things like cooking for herself or cleaning her room. I've found habit stacking a key tool, adding those extra steps into her daily routines, so she's building her skills over time while not feeling overwhelmed or even pushing back as every self-respecting teenager will do at some point. The goal is never perfection, just progress. Looking back, while there have been things I would have done differently, there are also plenty of ideas that have worked for her. Like I said, habit stacking has been really successful, along with making things as visual as possible. Certainly that's one of the reasons she now cooks for herself, and for us most weeknights. The visual recipe cards we made with her mean she has the tools she needs to do this without supervision. As a family, we've also become more structured in how we do things, so we model the kind of things we want her to do. I, for one, love a good list. And at the end of the day, the rewards have been, without overstating things, pretty wonderful. To see her become confident in her own abilities, to see her engaging with the world in a way where she recognises her own value is amazing. But more than anything, I see her moving towards a future where she's not defined solely by her additional needs, but by her strengths and her skills. Of course, it's still painful to watch her struggle, and I still worry about her future. But I also know that the greatest legacy I can leave her is the skills to build a successful future without me. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to listen, and I hope that the stories and solutions shared on here help you as you support your young person to create their future. If you know anyone who would find the ideas useful, please share the podcast with them. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn at Debra Caldow. I'd love to have a conversation with you on any of the topics we all care about. Bye for now.